Hello, and welcome to the Kosh podcast. I'm your host, Timber Smith, and once again, we are here for another episode. I'm super excited about who our guest is. Our guest this week is a really good friend of mine, which is part of the reason I'm so excited, is Chris Tarmann. Chris, how you doing over there?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. I'm excited to be on this show.
Awesome. And the Kosh is excited to have you. So, Chris, can you tell us a little something about yourself and what your connection to the Kosh is?
Yeah, you bet. I have a lot of connections to the Kosh. Let's start back in, I guess the first one would be coming to college here at UW-Oshkosh back in 2001.
Oh.
That's my first experience, so I guess we're now pushing 20 years on that.
Bruh. 20 years? Woo! Hey, I'm feeling that. The sad thing is I can't talk about you because I got a few more years than you.
You sure you don't want to pull up when you came here, UW-Oshkosh?
Nah, hey, look, if people really want to know, you can holler at your boy.
You come to college at UW-Oshkosh and you think, what am I going to do after that? And I just hardly ever left here. So UW-Oshkosh is probably my starting in Oshkosh. And then I picked up a job at UW-Oshkosh in 2008, and I'm the captain at the police department there.
Okay.
So, and then, I met my wife at UW-Oshkosh, and I started a business here in Oshkosh, and we lived here for quite a while. So, yeah.
All right. Hey, you know what we got to do? Got to give a little shout out to UW-Oshkosh. It is part of a lot of our lives and part of mine too. So you appreciate it to all those Titans out there. We got much love for you here on the Kosh. All right. And once again, I heard you share that you are law enforcement.
Yep. I work in law enforcement.
All right. That's pretty cool, man. How's things been treating you in law enforcement?
It's okay. I think it's been an adventure. I've been in law enforcement now for just over 15 years, and it's crazy to think that it's 15 years already.
There's a lot that's changed in 15 years.
Yeah, a ton has changed, and how do you transition and flex with that? It takes a lot of resiliency to kind of grow in the things that transpire in this field. So,
yeah, you know what? Because it is a community job, I feel like it's definitely a profession where you have to grow as the community grows, as the wind blows with feelings and the politics and different things about the community. Law enforcement has to take all of those things into place and work with it.
Yeah, I agree. And what's interesting about that is that when you police, it really, people talk about community policing, right? And everybody has this thought of what is community policing. And for me, community policing is really being connected to your community. It's being infused with your community. And obviously, even in the last year and a half, we've seen some dismantling of that. And so we really got to stretch ourselves to figure out, what are we doing here? How are we doing in law enforcement? What do we got to do to reconnect with our community members? And how do we work together? Because honestly, to be in law enforcement, for me, it's like a privilege. It's a privilege to step into a role that everybody has the responsibility for in a community, but I actually get paid to do it. And so to me, it's, that's a big deal. So.
That's deep. That is deep. That's true. Everybody should have a responsible role in making a difference in their community, but your profession is the one that gets paid to do that. That's deep.
Yeah, I mean, you really sit back and think about that for a second. Like, my income is based on something everybody has to do already. So I really got to step up and be a little bit better at it than what we would expect out of our normal community members. And it's important that we engage our community regularly. Otherwise, we can't accomplish what we need to do. And I think that's part of my responsibility, is how do you create those connections to accomplish the end goal? So,
yes. I couldn't agree more. I think I got more questions. I'm going to lead down that line, but I think we're going to move into the first segment. You good with that?
I'm good.
Okay. first segment is called What in the World is Going On With? And that is where you start off the phrase, What in the World is Going On With? And you finish it with whatever you're feeling and what's on your mind. So.
All right. Well, I think what in the world is going on with substance use? And I think that this thing really leans in on what we've been talking about over the last few minutes here. And substance use is an interesting conversation. So that's where I'd like to go.
Okay. Well, that's a broad topic. There's a lot of substances out there, both legal and illegal. So I'm super curious to know where you're taking us.
I think it's just a whirlwind, right? Like, there's some really low-level substances. There's some really high-level substances. But, over the last few years, especially in Winnebago County, which is where we are, we've seen a rise, a very severe rise in death based on certain substances. And that just kind of, it just messes with my head. You know what I mean?
Really? Okay, so since you've been in law enforcement for 15 years, what's the progression of substance abuse been like? Where was it 15 years ago? And I don't expect you to necessarily remember exactly that, but I feel like when it comes to substance abuse, there's a natural progression in society. Like, it's not the same substances over the course of the whole time. It seems like things come and go and transition.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about it all the time in law enforcement. You do the best you can to help manage the things that are going on in the world, right? Because people have this natural attraction to fulfill some desire inside of them. You know what I mean? So a substance can be used to fill some of that. What kind of substance is it? Well, it really depends on what's out there, what's available, those types of things. Right now, what scares me, it literally scares me as law enforcement, is fentanyl. You know what I mean? And people, I don't know who, they're putting it in everything. It doesn't matter what it is. It's in marijuana, it's in heroin, it's in meth, it's just they lace everything with fentanyl. It's dangerous.
All right. So I got to ask, because, here's my thing. Like, I have heard the term fentanyl, right? And I know it's super dangerous, but I don't know actually what fentanyl is. I mean, I know it's something bad.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably a good place to just leave it. It's something bad. You know what I mean? Bruh. It's bad. And I don't know. It's like, I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, but I kind of wonder, like, why are we lacing everything with fentanyl? You know what I mean? Like, what is the deal with that? And I mean, I don't know if it's to chase a stronger high or what, but it's dangerous. If we think about, I don't know, it's probably a couple of years ago, we had a Winnebago County Sheriff's deputy who was actually en route to the county jail, to the sheriff's office, and he had gotten a tiny little particle of fentanyl or heroin on him, and it got inside of his nasal area, and he was overdosing, driving his squad down the road.
Whoa. Bruh. That's just from being around it and got a trace.
Yeah, tiny little particle. I mean, like, we're talking 1/100th of the size of a penny. You know what I mean? It's this tiny little bit thing. And he had a good enough recognition to understand that something bad was happening, and they got him some Narcan, which pulled him out of that situation. But it's just, it's just something that's interesting. And I think there's a really good organization. And if I can shout this out, I think breakwaterwisconsin.org. This is a bunch of volunteers who are just striving to try to make a difference, and they just want to help people, educate people on how to manage substances. It's not about substance abuse. It's about how do you use substances safely. And I know, substances are illegal and substances, some of them aren't illegal, but it's just, if you're in that mode, how do you stay safe? You know what I mean?
Okay. I like the shout out. I think it's an important thing to understand it all, but I don't think we ever do. And I think that there's a large spectrum of how people feel about different substances, right? There's a large spectrum in it. So some of it's pretty dangerous, and then some of it, I think we've been told it was dangerous, and it may not be as dangerous as we've been told. So...
yeah, that's a good point. And I think even larger than just that small conversation that we just had about it, people that use substances, they don't get there because they want to. You know what I mean? And these are human beings who need our help. So
Yes.
the shout out is really, there's an organization out there who's looking to help, but we're all, if we go back to that initial conversation about community policing and how my job is to connect with the community to solve problems, this is one of those. You know what I mean? Like, we got to work together to figure that out. And it just takes a different style of flexibility and understanding so that we can grow and help each other. So
I love it. Love it. And that community policing point, I can't stress the importance of that.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, cool. Here's where I'm at with what in the good world is going on with. So, what in the world is going on with cell phone prices? So, Chris, you know what's up? My phone died on me, and I mean, like, I didn't do anything. This wasn't something where I dropped it in the water or I dropped it on the floor and it broke or anything like that. This was a situation that the night before I went to bed, it was working. And when I woke up in the morning, it was no longer working. It's got a case on it. If you really know me, I'm not really even a smartphone dude. I am an iPad guy. So I don't use it the way a lot of people use. I don't live on it. But it's still important to have, right? So that forced me to get out here. And that being said, I'm not off my 2-year contract paying for this phone yet. So it forced me to get out here and start looking at what is out here for cell phones. And can I just say, OMG, why are cell phones so doggone expensive?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm frustrated right now with my MacBook, and I probably get 30 minutes of battery time, and then it's dead.
What?
So I'm actually looking at new MacBooks, right? And it's funny that you mentioned cell phones, because my MacBook, I think I paid $1,500 for this thing in like 2018. So it's a few years old,
Right.
But I just bought a cell phone a few years ago too, and it was $1,200. And I don't think a thing about a cell phone at $1,200. I'm like, I need that, I want that. But my MacBook, I'm like, I don't really want to spend that much money. So I get what you're saying. That's crazy.
Oh my God. So yeah, I'm looking at cell phones and I'm trying to, I got to pay off the other cell phone because I ain't off the contract yet, right? So I gotta throw a couple hundos at that, and then I need a new phone, and so I'm gonna have to invest in a couple of years of obligations to do that. And I'm looking at what the base costs in there. Now, that being said, I'm a tech dude. I'm a little tech savvy. I like my toys. I like just because I don't use a phone hardcore doesn't mean I don't want a hardcore phone, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I get to looking at them, and when I started looking at, do you know that they've upped that phones have gone up so much that they no longer they have 30-month contracts on phones. It used to be 24, 2 years I could work with, but because they don't went up so much to make it affordable, they trick you with the 30-month contract. So 2 years and a half. We all know that once you cross the 2-year marker with a cell phone nowadays, you don't know the tech can start acting funky on you.
Oh yeah, I mean this is day-old conversation about iPhones, and I'm an iPhone guy, diehard, right? Like, I actually picked up an Android last time I was looking at a phone, and it scared me. I mean, I was like, don't do it. I got nothing against Android, but I couldn't do it. But I know that the battery starts dying after 2 years. So if you got 6 months to pay yet, and you're thinking, I can't even keep this thing charged, that's frustrating too.
Oh yeah, no doubt. So here's what I'm saying. Those cell phones sitting at the 12, 13, 14 and up, good Lord.
Yeah.
Needless to say, I'm not buying one of those.
I agree.
Yeah. So iPhone, here's what I'm gonna say: brand new iPhone, you are not in the running. I'm gonna have to go back an iPhone or two. Like I'm gonna have to get down with like an iPhone XLR or an iPhone 11 or something like that, because the rest of them is doing way too much. I'm gonna be honest. I do iPads, but for my phone, I don't typically do Apple. I definitely go Android. I like Google phones. I like Pixel in particular. And so me and Pixel, we're going to have to work it out.
It's interesting that you went there, because I was just thinking, I know that you're not an iPhone guy.
Nope.
But it sounds like you're thinking about an iPhone.
It was something my wife threw at me because my daughter and my wife both are iPhone people. I'm not going to lie, the iPhone has been good to them, but I don't like the idea of wrapping up my whole technology atmosphere, whatever fear, into just one brand, right? So I'd like the idea of keeping my iPads Apple and keeping my cell phone in the Android tech fear. How about that? That's a good term, right?
Oh, that makes sense. The only fear I had was like touching an Android scared me.
Bruh.
All right. So that is what's going on in the world with. All right. You ready? We're going to jump into segment 2, which is word phrase association. So this is where you have an opportunity. I'm going to throw a word at you, and you just tell me what comes to your mind when I say this word. All right.
I got it.
All right. So food.
You know what? First thing that comes to mind is it's the jalapeno popper bacon burger at Ruby Owl.
What?
Oh, dude, amazing. Like, there's no other burger like it. It's so good.
I can't say that I've ever had that, but I will say this: I've been to Ruby Owl recently, and they have these. I think it's called the Kentucky Spicy Chicken Roll. That thing.
Amazing.
Bruh.
Yeah, I can't stress that enough. It was I've not had anything like it. And let me just give a huge shout out to Ruby Owl. Whatever you got going on over there and your special hot sauce, I'm all about that life.
Oh, man. I mean, we don't have to stick on Ruby Owl forever, but I'm going to tell you, like, those avocado fries, those are good, but that sauce that comes with that, amazing, too. I don't know what they're cooking up in that kitchen, but, dude, I can just go hang out there for a few hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. Ruby Owl, y'all doing the thing. Hey, and if you out there listening, you go on and shoot me a sponsorship here on the Kosh, because we got love for you at Ruby Owl.
Major love.
All right. Okay. Next word, cocktail beer.
You know, I'm a beer guy all day long, and that's a problem, right? Because that makes my belly a little bigger than it should be. But I love it. You know, there's so many different kinds of beer. They're brewing different kinds of things. You know, like maybe it's another shout out, but it's right about the time right now where Fifth Ward is going to start brewing up their Haze It or Love It. And dude, it's like drinking summer in a can. It's just, it's in a glass, but it's amazing. So
what's it called again?
It's called Haze It or Love It.
Haze It or Love It. Okay, give me the undertones. What's that flavor? Because I'm not a beer guy. You know, I'm a Grey Goose seltzer guy, or that's only when I go out. But if I'm drinking at the crib, I go cheap. So then it's Burnett's. I'm not gonna fake like I'm bougie like that.
Hey, I heard Burnett's is pretty darn good.
Oh, Burnett's is excellent for all y'all out there in the Kosh land. If you would like a nice, affordable, high quality vodka, check out Burnett's.
Yeah, so let's chat about this Haze It quick. So the flavor profile, very easily, it's an IPA, and this is gonna mess with people, right? Because IPA is like black coffee. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta like learn your way into it. You know what I mean? But it's IPA at a lighter level, I think. And then to me, it almost has like this grapefruity summer. I don't know, man. It's so good. It's perfect for summer.
All right. Okay. I haven't been to Fifth Ward yet. I'd like to go. You know, every time I drive past that joint, it seems packed. So they got a nice little following going on over there.
Hey, and that's some UWO love, right? Those two guys went to UWO. So.
Oh, they're Titans? I didn't know they were Titans.
Yep.
Oh, then you gotta love it when Titans are out here being entrepreneurs and being successful.
Yep, I agree.
Okay. Netflix.
You know, I have Netflix, and it's funny because just this morning we were watching some shows, and my son is like, wow, we got a lot of options. Netflix, Hulu, Spectrum, Peacock. I don't even know what's out there anymore.
You're spending too much money streaming too many things, man. You could, how much TV watching? You ain't even got time.
I don't got time for TV. Listen, man, I got 3 kids. They got time for TV.
Facts.
Okay, but here's the thing. Netflix had, what's that show? The Curse of Oak Island. And I don't know, I started at like season 4 and I got hooked, right? And I've heard people say like, they never find anything. Well, I don't know. They'll find some stuff. And then it ended at like season 6 or 7 on Netflix. So I had to go figure out where can I watch this. So then I caught some on Peacock. And then I ran out on Peacock. So then I found out it was on Spectrum. So, now it's like you're following a show. And this is where they get you like all over the place. So.
Oh. Yeah. Hey, you got to drop some of those subscriptions, man. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sitting here saying that, but I'm not going to lie. I basically got all the subscriptions you just said minus Peacock. And my daughter's been trying to talk me into thinking about Peacock because apparently that's a pretty good stream.
Yeah, I don't pay for Peacock, so I think there's like a premium on there that you can get. We don't have that. We just have kind of that free package.
The free Peacock. Yeah. All right. I got it. All right. Okay. Amazon.
Dude, Amazon owns me, and I'm not going to lie. Like, this is stressful, right?
Bruh.
I was thinking about this the other day. I don't even know when Amazon takes that money out of my account for whatever the Amazon Prime. It just happens. And I think I've been an Amazon Prime member for 15 years. All right. And then it's hooked up to my device. So every time I swear to God, every day it says, hey, your package is on the way. And I'm like, I didn't order anything.
Oh,
Bruh.
I know. I know that feeling. Here's what happens to me. So we get that alert. And then the first thing my wife does is like, what's you order now? Right? Because she's kind of touchy due to the fact that she loads packages for UPS, and therefore that's a package she probably has to load. So she ain't, she takes that kind of personal, but that's a whole nother story. But nonetheless, we keep getting them, and then every time I go to peek at it, you know who it is? It's the daughter. Like she is Amazon bonkers.
I will tell you, we signed up as a family for Amazon Music or something like that. It's like a streaming music. And that was kind of neat because we got music for real cheap, and it's unlimited. So it's almost like, people who pay for that satellite radio in their vehicle. Well, this is Amazon Music streaming unlimited. And I think with a family plan, we each paid, I want to say it's like 30 or $50 for the whole year. And then it's like you search any music, any song, and you can get it. There's no restrictions. So go Amazon for that, because that's amazing.
No, I agree with that. I do Spotify. Spotify is nice. But I totally know what you mean. Like, that is so amazing. I haven't quite found the confidence to get rid of all my CDs and things. But it is so nice to be able to, if I think of a song off the top of my head, I just go to Spotify and boom, there it is, and then I can start rocking that. That's slick.
I mean, it's way better than, I'm trying to think back when I was in college what that website was, where you'd have to go on there and like download music, but it wasn't. I don't think it was legal. I can't remember the name of that.
Yeah. I know you're Napster.
Napster, yeah. This is like the real Napster. You know what I mean?
Here's what I'm gonna say. I was too young to know that it wasn't legal.
I think we're good. Like, this is past the time, right?
Look, if they're gonna come find me for Napster, they better come find everybody else too.
Oh, heck yeah, man.
That's all I'm gonna say. All right, cool. All right, next word. Respect.
Dude, I love this word. I think this is interesting right now. And if we look at 2020 and coming into 2021, I think this is kind of where we need to kind of pause for a second and just think about this word and think about what it means. And, as you say this word, and it's kind of like word association, I think immediately right to the roadway. And it's interesting for me because I feel like I'm more critical in my personal vehicle than if I were driving a squad car, which is crazy to think about, right? But it's just, as I watch and observe people driving down the road, I almost see them like, let's say somebody's driving in the left lane and they got to get to the right lane. What do? What do you see them do?
What if they're driving?
They got to get over.
You got to get over.
You're in the left lane. Somebody's.
Okay.
I'm the person right next to you. What do you do? What do you see people doing? They speed up, right? They speed up.
Oh yeah, they speed. You're right. I was thinking. Here's the thing. I was thinking, what do I do? And what I try to do is I try to look over and give you the look, like, hey, bro,
good?
I gotta slide over. So
what are you looking for? You're looking for the respect, right?
Yeah.
You're looking for the respect, and I think we're losing that a little bit. And I don't know if it's just because we're all like stressed out with this coronavirus thing or what, but I'd love to see some retraction on it where we all give people a little bit more respect. And I just think, like, I think this is my own personal experience where I was driving down the road. I was trying to get somewhere pretty quick, and somebody had to get over, and I was like, no, this is my lane right now. Like, I'm not giving you my lane. And then I thought to myself, no, give this person some respect. You know what I mean? Like, back off and allow them in and be respectful. And it's an intriguing concept, and it's funny how traffic really got me to think about normal life, because I think I lost that a little bit for people. Like, somebody wants to cross the street, and I'm looking for, are they in the crosswalk? Should I give them the road? You know what? Yeah, slow down for a second and give somebody else some flexibility. And play that in a lot of different roles in your life. You know what I mean? So I just think respect is an interesting word that would really help us all out a little bit.
I like that. I'm not going to add, I like how you connected it with driving, because there's some aggressive drivers out there. I don't get down like that. I'm a leisurely driver. Actually, the people that really know me, they know I don't even like to drive. Look, if you rolling with timber, you better know that I'm going to be in the passenger seat. That's just how that works. And let me tell you, I drive so little that my wife drives everywhere when we're together, and I didn't drive for so long that I'll just say that there was an in-law or two who never saw me drive in like maybe our first 5 years of marriage, and they finally asked her, why doesn't Timber learn how to drive and get a license? And she was like, he's got a license, he just hates driving. And
that's kind of beautiful.
It is a beautiful thing. Look, I rather think, like, some people enjoy the power of driving and the control of it. Not me. I'm perfectly good being a passenger. And guess what? I'm a good passenger, because I'm not no side seat next to you driver where I'm trying to tell you what to do. I'm barely paying attention to what you're doing because I'm thinking about other things.
That's awesome. I think driving's an interesting conversation, and I'm probably 100% the opposite. Like, I got to be in control of the vehicle. So, yeah.
I'm feeling you on that. All right, that's cool. Okay, one last word, and we're done with word association. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, cornhole.
Well, that's an interesting word. I don't know who would put that on this podcast that we're talking about. But,
your friend.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is probably Cranky Pat's. Maybe 6 years ago, you and I sitting at the bar.
Oh, wait. First of all, shout out to Cranky Pat's. R.I.P. We miss you. We miss the people, the Cranky Pat's crew, all those that worked there throughout the years, and all our friends on the opposite side of the libations bar.
Oh, so many good people.
So many good people. I miss you. We miss you. Yeah. We miss Cranky Pat's.
Yeah, it was a good time, and in cornhole. So this is funny because Timber and I are sitting at the Cranky Pat's one night, and I don't even remember what it was. I think I had Googled, or somebody sent me this picture of this cornhole boards or whatever. I'm like, dude, I think I can make a set of these things. You know what I mean? And so I did. I went out and bought some material and threw some together, and Timber's like, I can use a set of those. So I made him a set of boards, and then I posted them on social media, and it just kind of flew off from there. And so I actually own a business. I own Cornhole by Tarmann, and what is, I don't even know what today is, like the middle of May, right? And middle of March. I'm a couple months ahead.
I see that.
I'm almost 6 years into it. Well, 5 years. I'm 5 years into it, and 600 sets of cornhole later.
That's bonkers.
This is
I mean,
crazy.
the fact that even to think that conversation we had, and I remember that conversation, it's been 5 years going on 6 years from that. And it was a funny conversation. And actually, I think what might have happened was you saw a set, and I was like, man, I need some cornhole boards. And you said, I can make those. And I was like, okay. That's
I think you're exactly right.
That's exactly how it went down. And let me tell you, the one thing about Chris Tarmann, he is a man of his word. And I sure enough got a set of boards, and they were amazing.
Yeah, I think you're still using those, and it's been fun, and it's interesting too, because if we think about law enforcement, that's kind of crazy and stressful, and then this cornhole thing is very artsy, and it's not. Well, it used to not be stressful, but now I got so many orders, it is a little bit of stress. But it kind of fulfills a balance in my life, a little bit of creativity on one side and a little bit of something else on the other side. Even though I think they both have to be creative, but it's a neat balance. So,
yeah, I think it's an opportunity. I think, if I was working in your profession, right? Because that's a profession that has to consume every ounce of your being, right? I don't think you get an opportunity to turn officer off.
No,
you don't get to turn that off.
Yeah,
that's my assumption.
No, you're 100% correct. I mean, I think I'm a leader in law enforcement, and so when I'm talking to people who work in the field, you almost have to help them understand that this isn't a job. It's not even a career. It's a lifestyle. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
you make specific lifestyle changes, and
yes.
It's a constant sacrifice if you're doing it the right way.
Right, because you're never off.
No.
Right? You're never off. I can't picture that. I mean, I'm sure there's those times you're in the comfort of your home with your children and your wife and things of that sort, and you get to have it. But all it takes is one phone call.
Yeah, and sure, a phone call or somebody calling to ask you about something where you got to come in, or but even worse than that, if you're out doing stuff, you can't shut it off. You can't shut off who you are, what you're thinking about, what you've experienced, what you're seeing, what's coming at you. You're always in this like, oh my gosh, who's doing what? How do I? You're full. Like, I can think of many times where I'm sitting in the restaurant and I'm having, like, we've had lunch, right?
Yes.
And eye contact is important when you're having a conversation with somebody.
Yes.
And if you don't know who I am as a person, you're kind of like, is that guy listening to me when we're talking? You know what I mean? Because my head is everywhere all the time. I'm always looking around, and it's just because you can't shut that piece off,
Right. And this is how you know we're good friends, because anytime that me and Chris go anywhere, what's the one thing I know to do is I always allow him to face the door. Now, I'm that guy. If I'm with anybody else, I want to be able to see the door. But because I know that there's no way in the world that his back can be towards the door, I don't even think twice about it. I just scoot around, make sure he has eye contact to be able to see the entryways and the exits, and because I already know that's where his mind is, and it's what's going to make it comfortable.
Oh, I appreciate that a ton, and I think you nailed it. It takes some effort to pull yourself out of that mindset. So,
all right, cool. We went all over the place with cornhole.
Yeah, that's weird. That took us in some weird realms, But before we exit cornhole, what's with cornhole on ESPN? Is that weird to you, or is that normal?
Look, as somebody who plays the sport, not at a high level, but I do play the sport. I enjoy the sport. I enjoy everything about it, for the most part. I know, because here's the thing. When you actually watch those people play, they ain't playing. They're professionals. Like, the stuff that they shoot in, and if they miss something, they knock the other bag in to get all the points. I mean, like, I could see if it felt amateurish, but there is nothing amateurish about it. It's like watching, like, there's certain things I watch that I think to myself, the hand-eye coordination that goes along with that is just plain astounding, right? And so that would be pool, to know those angles. That would be darts. Darts blows my mind, because you're shooting at a very small target from so many feet away. to get triples and doubles and
yeah.
and then you're doing math in your head and all that. And then cornhole is not an easy sport.
No, I agree. I think it takes great precision, and you're thinking about speed, bounce. Is it going to slide? Is it going to stick? Am I going to hit that bag? Is that bag going to hit this bag in? It's kind of crazy to think about it, but I just was curious what your thoughts were about it, so that's cool.
My main thought when I'm playing it is that I don't want to waste my drink while I'm throwing this bag.
Hey, well, that's very important because that's the balance.
It is the balance. Yeah, I've learned that I can't not play it with a drink in my hand. Like it feels funky. So if I'm gonna have a bag in this hand and I'm aiming, there must be libations in the other hand to make it right.
Yeah, if I'm giving away a secret, if I know I'm playing somebody who's really good, I might not play with a drink in my left hand because then I got an excuse. You know what I mean?
Oh, I like that. Oh, that's good.
Bruh.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Okay. Next segment is the Naughty/Heroes Corner. Do you got somebody or something or organization you want to nominate to either one?
You know, I think as I think about Heroes Corner and I think about Oshkosh, I think the first name that comes to my mind is John Damel. And dude, that guy is amazing. I don't know, like every other day or every few hours, that guy is doing something amazing for this community. And I think he just deserves a hero shout out, man. And so I guess I'd nominate him.
That's not the first time his name has come up. Actually, his name has come up in a couple episodes now. So he's doing the things.
You know, I think he's running for like Winnebago County.
Yeah, he's running. He's running for county board. I
think so. And you know, what a guy. He sacrifices a lot. He has a platform that he's using in the right mechanism, and he just seems super authentic, and he's got a big heart. And you know, it takes a lot to get there. So
yeah, I think what I admire about him, besides the fact that he loves comic books and comic book characters like myself, because you know that's a thing. He's a fellow geek. But I just like people who walk the walk as well as talk the talk. And I'm not saying that he talks the talk because I can't put that on him, but he doesn't just wish for better or complain. He actually puts things in action for substantive change, and that's huge. Now, there's a lot of we got a term that we utilize around my office called the wish fairies. There's a lot of wish fairies, right? There's a lot of people that say they're going to do this, or they say they want this to happen, but there's they don't put their money where their mouth is, or they don't do anything to actually move that concept forward. And he ain't that. He's a man of action.
I think that's a very well-described depiction of who he is, and that's really an important piece. You can talk a lot of things, right? But if you ain't getting anything done, it's not helping anybody. So
yeah. All right. So, hey, I'm going to send this shout-out to John Damel. If you out there listening to the Kosh, we'd love to have you as a guest. Would love to have you as a guest, especially since you keep coming up in the Heroes Corner. So that's awesome. All right. Okay. We're on to the topic of the week. And topic of the week is chosen by our guest. So the topic of the week that we came up with was policing and public safety during the pandemic, right? Because I think all of us who are working out there, whether you're a frontline worker or not, or whatever you're doing professionally, right? This whole situation for the past year affected the way you work some kind of way. I don't care how big or small that effect was. Some people had total overhauls. Some people might have had tweaks, right? Some people might not have had nothing, which is a bad sign, but right?
Yeah.
So, but what it affected us all, but policing is such a public facing job. And I think anything that you were doing, much like teaching, where you had to deal with the public while the pandemic occurred, right? I'm just fascinated with what was happening, what was going through other law enforcement officers' heads, what were your concerns, just everything about it over the past year. I mean, please share.
Yeah, this is a huge topic. I mean, we could probably talk about this for a couple hours, but I don't think we got that much time. But it did. It changed a lot. And listen, I'm not gonna say that I'm in a traditional law enforcement capacity working at a university, but let's talk about both of those. So the university was interesting, right? Because we sent our whole community out, right? Like, go home. We want you to be safe. We're shutting down classes right now. And it pretty much changed our entire operational style at the police department on campus, right? Which was, instead of really worrying about the safety of our community in the campus environment, it was, now we got to think about what's the safety and capacities of our infrastructure, right? We got to protect an asset that exists in a physical form on a campus. And then even further than that, I mean, this is probably another shout out to my chief, Kurt Leibold. I mean, he was put in charge of the recovery plan for bringing this campus back together, and amazing. He did an amazing job kind of trying to pull the right people into room and keep them focused on the real, how do we bring people back? How do we pull this off? How do we manage those things? And I just think he did an awesome job with that, so.
Shout out to the chief. Chief did the things.
Yeah. So if we think about traditional policing, very different. And I think you can't go work from your couch. You can't go work from home in law enforcement. You know what I mean? You got to stay on the job. And not only that, it's very similar to doctor, nurse, working in an environment where you then bring that back into your house. Like what did you experience during your shift? When you come back, what kind of a risk are you presenting to your family? So I would say some people didn't even want to go home. They don't want to bring that risk back home. So they're looking for that middle, where do I stay, which creates some more disconnection, And then for a lot of law enforcement, almost everybody in law enforcement has some sort of balance, right? And I would say a percentage of law enforcement works out. Like, that's a large percentage is like, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to work out, I'm going to get my mind straight. But those were closed, you know what I mean? So
that's true. I didn't even think about that. That's a good point.
So I guess my worry, my fear, the things that transpired during the pandemic for law enforcement was that we had a larger ask, and we didn't have as much mental health support during that thing. Like, it was, and the whole country experienced that. But I think at a different level for law enforcement, they were trying to figure out, how do we stay healthy? How do we keep our families safe? Because at the end of the day, law enforcement officers are still human beings. They're just wearing a uniform, and they obviously have a lot of responsibility, but they got a family, and they're thinking about that. So
yeah, I did it. Okay, so I work closely with veterans, and the mental health side of that, the isolation that occurred. Because we had to separate, and you couldn't go do the routine things that you normally did, or the VFW meeting might not be happening anymore, or that county veterans board meeting has been canceled, and so the connections that you tended to have just weren't there, or you just couldn't connect with individuals like you typically did. And those might have been the things that kept you mentally healthy, right? Those contacts, those associations, those things that remind you who you are, and just people supporting you, people you feel love or care about you. Did those kinds of isolation things also happen with law enforcement? Because I'm assuming you couldn't, like, I'm sure I get the feeling, because I always feel like military and paramilitary have a lot of similarities, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so officers, I assume, lean on each other like military lean on each other.
Yeah, you're accurate about that. Yep.
So, and then this put situations where I'm sure there was some connection. However that connection is, bowling or going out for, I don't know, fish fries, or I don't know, but whatever it is, it seems like that was taken away, and it seems like the same things I was seeing happen with our vets would be similar things that happened with law enforcement. How did they maneuver? How was that addressed? Was it addressed? Is that still going on? Is there ways we can support? Yeah.
That's a heavy conversation. I don't know if I know the answers to a lot of those questions, but I think just thinking about some of those things, it did give time for people to figure out how to do some of those things. I think on both sides of those conversations, right? So we lost some human connection during the pandemic, but on the flip side of that, we did things that we never would have done had we not experienced that, right? So talk about the virtual experience, you know what I mean? So I think there's new ways to connect. That what if you were never comfortable having a conversation face to face with somebody, but now that the pandemic was in place, right, and you had to shift to like a virtual environment, do you feel more comfortable in that? Do you feel more comfortable picking up a phone and talking to somebody? Do you feel more comfortable texting somebody? Do you feel more comfortable getting on like a Microsoft Teams and then just don't turn your camera on, but you're having a conversation, or you even do turn your camera on? You know what I mean? Like, I think there was separation, but then there was also some new connection, and I think that's a huge win. And I always try to find like what's the win or what's the positive out of the situation. So it opened new doors to possibilities.
You know what my win it was out of that? I love virtual meetings because I can sit in a hoodie and some sweatpants and not get judged. That's the one thing about a virtual, when you virtually show up at a meeting, it is the expectation that I feel is you do not have to be at professional casual dress. They understand you are sitting on your couch, Indian style, with your laptop in your lap.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the joke, right? Where you don't have to wear pants to work, right? So, I had to do a late meeting, and I have a busy life. I own a business making cornhole boards. I do full time law enforcement. I got 3 kids, and so there was a day where I left work and I went home, and then I had to come back later. I don't remember what it was, but I had to be on a meeting, and I had to actually look like I was in my uniform and all that stuff. So I wore shorts, and I put my uniform shirt on with all my stuff. And then somebody in dispatch actually took a picture of me. I had shorts on and my uniform shirt. But if you saw me on the camera, I looked like I was wearing my uniform.
Hey, exactly. Look, I understand that. I've done a few of those myself. I throw on the shirt and the bow tie, but I got sweatpants on. Most definitely. And you know what? There's happiness in that.
Oh my gosh. And not even just in the moment of knowing you can do it, but just watching the faces of your coworkers as you're kind of chilling and they know the real, but they see what's going on. It's kind of brilliant. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I'm definitely no doubt about that. Okay. Anything else you'd like to put out about policing and public safety during the pandemic?
Another win is that if you really, and we're going to see this probably starting to come up, and one of the other hats I wear is that I teach police officers all over the country how to respond to active threat situations, and I'm interested to see the stats, but I think it's going to be a good year, for us. I mean, that's been just like substance use, that's gone up, but active threats was a big deal. It's something that we have to deal with in law enforcement, and those numbers I think are going to be really good for us. I don't know. I just think it's a good thing out of the pandemic, and I'm not trying to find all the good things, but these are just things that hit my mind every once in a while when I put a lot of effort into stuff and I see a positive change. It excites me. So
that's true. I mean, look, that had to have gone down because there just wasn't people gathering in places like that, and there wasn't the possibility, and things weren't open. So I mean, that's one way to look at it.
Yeah. So I think, and then I'll keep talking about this topic. I think we could talk about this for 2 hours. But the other thing I saw was that community members, they really showed their value, You know what I mean? They showed their value to the people who stuck out their necks to stay on the job and support them, and that was awesome. So shout out to community.
Shout out to the Oshkosh community. They already know they're wonderful, but I every week I like to make sure that we let them know Oshkosh is an amazing place to live.
Yeah, you know, and I can't. Rodney's Cafe. Oh my gosh, man, that guy is amazing. You know, he was delivering meals, he was dropping in, he was cooking burgers. I mean, that guy, he's like, if I go back up to the Heroes thing, man, him and John Damel, like those two guys together, they make a huge impact in this community.
Look, Rodney's a bad man. Look, I don't know about you if you've ever sat down in Rodney's. Me and the wife have sat down eating some Rodney's meals. My man, he handles his business, and I just love his approach in it, because the feeling is he's basically, this is my opinion, or my observation and opinion, he's basically running a non-profit restaurant, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because it doesn't feel like he's in it for the money. He's in it to serve the community. I've seen him do fundraising things. I've seen him serve free meals. I mean, that's just amazing in the big picture of things. And somehow, even though he takes a lot of time doing this, his doors remain open. And that's a shout out to our community too, because I know that there's many organizations out there who have supported Rodney's, which he's supporting the community. So, I mean, that's hot.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, every time I've seen, you know, I've never actually met Rodney. So, Rodney, if you ever want to chat, I'm in. But, you know, I've seen him a ton, like shared on social media and the videos and then the pictures. And does he frown at all, or is he just always smiling?
No, he's always smiling. Look, I've met him a couple times, and he is from all my encounters with him, he is exactly who you think he would be.
Awesome. Yeah, shout out to Rodney and Rodney's Cafe, because that guy, he's another hero for the community. So,
and he can cook. That food is nice. So let me tell you something. If things ever get back to normal and Rodney just gets back to business, his breakfast is off the charts.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right. Good deal. And Rodney, if you ever out there listening, I'd love to have you also on the Kosh. Once again, he's been mentioned a couple of times. So, I mean, the impact. And you know what's even more important is that I love the fact that people aren't overlooking those impacts. That our community cares enough that we're actually watching. We're keeping up with the people who are making a difference, and we're celebrating them, because, you know, often it's easy to complain about the bad and bring up the bad and point that out. But consistently, I've had great guests who've brought up the good, and that says a lot.
Well, and I think it says a lot about who you are, Timber, and I think that's the authenticity. But you're nailing it, right? This community is so good at working with each other to accomplish the right things. So, and calling out the good is part of that.
Yes, it is. All right. So this is we're getting ready to start wrapping things up. I would like to say I thank all of the Kosh listeners out there for tuning in. Once again, if you have any questions, if you'd like to be a guest, if you've got an opinion, if you'd like to agree, disagree, tell me if we're doing a good job or a poor job, whatever you want to share, I'm here to listen. Please send all of that to askthekosh@gmail.com. Once again, that is askthekosh@gmail.com. This is a particularly special part of the show that I love. I love the shout out. The shout out is where it's at, right? Who doesn't like getting a shout out?
Well, shout outs are amazing, right?
Yeah, everybody loves this. Look, everybody loves to get a shout out. So I'm gonna turn this over to you. Who's your shout outs?
You know, I think I've done a couple shout outs in this conversation already, but I think, you know, before we leave this conversation, I just want to shout out to this app that I spent some time on over the summer. The other thing about the pandemic was it gave a little bit of time to refocus. And we talked about law enforcement wellness. So I was in the command college, the Wisconsin Command College, and you have to do a personal project. So I chose to do what's called, I created an app is basically what it is, but I called it Wiley Guardians.
Spell that.
It's WILE and then Guardians.
Is that like can you find that in like the Apple Store or the Android store?
Yep, it's in Google Play and App Store, and really Wiley is just Wisconsin law enforcement. But this app is built as, I'll just call it a bridge, right? There's tons of resources out there, but the goal of this app, and it wasn't just me, is there's a couple team members who helped me pull this thing off. So shout out to Sarah Phelan from Wisconsin GOJ, and then another shout out to Todd Thomas from Appleton PD. He's the chief there. Those two very integral in pulling this thing off, and probably the last shout out for the app is Zach Taft. He's the owner of Star Protection and Patrol. And Zach...
yeah. I got love for Zach. He's a good dude.
Yeah, he donated a lot of money to make this thing happen because the app isn't free, but it is free for law enforcement because of Zach and because Todd Thomas and Sarah Phelan took some money out of an organization that made it real. But the app is really... It's meant to connect our law enforcement community to wellness resources, right? So... there's a lot of partners in the app. There's a lot of different resources for them in there. 24/7, they can be connected to a resource for peer support, chaplains, proactive wellness topics, just different things that are going to help them stay healthy. And so it's just kind of a neat thing out of the pandemic that kind of came to fruition because of some really good people. So if you're Wisconsin law enforcement and you need this app, you need to get on it because it's really good. And it's, I talked about wellness, and this is funny because this is a cop thing. No cop needs wellness. You know what I mean? Like, this is the thought process we have. So I know that. I know this well, right? Because if you're a cop out there and you're listening to this thing, you don't download the app because you're like, I'm good, man. I'm all good. I don't need your wellness, right? But I know you need on-duty tools. So we got a whole section in there. It's built with stuff that you can use when you're on duty. So use that stuff, and then maybe you'll stumble into my wellness resources.
Look, I'm going to go ahead and call those cops out there who's thinking that is exactly the same mindset of a lot of veterans. And our veterans have gotten, they have started acknowledging the fact that, no, that mental health piece is way too important. You got to take care of your things because it affects you. It affects the people that love you and the people that want to celebrate you, which is the nation and our community. So we need y'all healthy. You officers, we need you healthy too. So, make sure you are taking care of yourself and utilizing the resources that are available. Can't stress that enough. Let me give some shout outs here. I like to always shout out the people because, we very much are a work in progress. So I love hearing from people who have been tuning into an episode or two or listening to all the episodes and just sharing things. So big shout out to Nicole. That's an old Cranky Pat's regular. So shout out to Nicole. Appreciate you out there. To Bethany. Yep. You know who you are. Appreciate you too. To my sister, Tiffany, because my sister, she every week she takes a little time and shares a little something with me, and that means a lot, even though, she's my sister, and that's like that's supposed to be obligations, right? But nonetheless, just the fact that she does take time because she is a new mom, and she's got her hands full of my beautiful niece Zuri. So I understand, but just the facts. So I appreciate all y'all when y'all holler at me. Know that I listen to everything you tell me, and we're trying to grow and make this something positive for the greater good of the community and just, I don't know, the citizens of the U.S.
Yeah, heck yeah, that's awesome. I think you're doing a great job with it. So
hey, I'm trying. So this is where we come into the parting words of wisdom. Chris, what you got over there? What are you going to share with the Kosh listeners?
Well, I guess parting words of wisdom from a guy who's got a lot of stuff going on in his life is just to slow down.
Facts.
Slow down. Take a minute. And if you're stressed out about something or somebody's stressing you out, give them a little flexibility, right? Because you don't know what they did 10 minutes ago. You don't know what they experienced before that moment, or even what they've been dealing with for the last 6 months or a year or something like that. And I think we forgot about that. You know what I mean? And this is a personal reflection for me, is that I've been stressed out. You know what I mean? I've been stressed out. And I think in those moments, it's to just self-reflect on that and go, listen, these people are dealing with things either worse than me or the same as me, and they need a little space. They need some understanding that they're okay to be in that moment of whatever they caused you frustration about. So just slow down, give a little respect, and we'll be in good place. So
I like to sum that up as it is okay not to be okay, but give each other enough latitude that when someone isn't okay, because we really don't know. There's been a lot of people lost in this pandemic, and we just don't know. There's been all sorts of people who lost very important people in their lives.
I mean, they may have even lost their job. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
there's a lot going on.
A lot of people lost. Definitely, people lost income, or there's people who may still have their job, but that job ain't doing what it used to do, or maybe it ain't even the same job anymore because it's just changed because of the situation. So, I do think right now it is important for us to take care of each other, lean on each other, be good to each other, and be open to listening to each other. Can't stress that enough.
Wise words.
All right, so we are out of here on the Kosh. Thank you very much for tuning in. We appreciate you as always. The Kosh.